Hello and welcome to another episode of the Youth Group Reunion Tour podcast. I'm your host, Mikey B.
And I'm your co-host, Jared, JC.
And we are here today with another game-centric episode after the great reception. I'm assuming the reception is going to be great from it.
It has to be. It's our first. It had our first guest. We got to talk about Crystal Meyer.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to explore in the greater cinematic universe of guitar praise.
We threw down the gauntlet for a TikTok dance battle.
Yeah, a lot happened. Wow, that was a big watershed moment in the podcast. I didn't even realize how big of a deal it was.
And your wife and I mocked you for like a minute. That was great.
Yeah. I probably cut that out because it was too embarrassing.
Oh man, rip.
No. So the episode that we're referencing, in case you haven't heard, we are fresh off of the heels of a great Facebook Marketplace pickup, which was Dance Praise, the Christian version of DDR.
It was Dance Praise 2, the remix, specifically. I believe. Yeah.
But my point is it's a series. The point is that the developer did not stop with Dance Praise 1. There's Dance Praise 2, the remix.
There was a demand for it.
And the demand was so high that they had to continue the trend. And today we are going to follow in those footsteps, talking about guitar praise.
So, as you may have guessed, Guitar Praise is a Christian clone of Guitar Hero.
And this one, we didn't have to fake the dance pads. Thankfully, that Windows XP software really came in handy this time. We got two guitars.
Mint in box.
Never opened.
Still had batteries in them that somehow had power.
Yeah, and the game, the installation was pretty easy. Everything was totally easy to set up.
So the reason we know about guitar praise and dance praise is that, we had been talking to some of our friends, telling them like, hey, we're going to do this podcast. And one of our friends, who's our guest today, who will be introduced shortly, was like, yeah, I used to have this thing called Guitar Praise. You guys should do that. And so obviously we knew that's a great idea. We have to get it. And so we got him to be our guest today. So without further ado, this is our friend Caleb. Caleb, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Caleb, and I'm here, and it's true. I did once and maybe still currently own Guitar Praise.
Okay, so before we get into talking about the game or anything, Caleb, can you give us a quick recap of how you know Mike and I?
Absolutely. So I think I definitely have very young memories hanging out with Jared at church. I found out that Jared owned the game Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and that was very cool for me because I was extremely bad at that game. And
that game was so hard.
It turns out Jared was also extremely bad at it, and he told me he had this thing called the Game Genie, and I was like, this man understands, because I also had a Game Genie.
So check this out. The version that I had of that game we bought from like a not from like a Blockbuster, but there used to be like a game / video rental inside of like
video.
No, inside Giant Eagle. For anyone that doesn't know, Giant Eagle is a like grocery store chain in our area. And when games got old, they would replace them or whatever, they would sell them. And so I had like a version. I had that Star Wars game that we got from Giant Eagle, and it came with the instruction manual. And when people would rent it, they would get the instruction manual with it. And in the back, there was like a place to write down codes. And so, people who were much better than me, and by that I mean older kids, had gotten so far in the game, and they wrote all these codes in the back. And so I would just like put them in, and then I could skip straight to like the Ewok village, or to the sand crawler or whatever it was. And then that's how I got to see most of that game, because it was crazy hard. Especially the Empire Strikes Back one was the hardest.
You're talking about for the Super Nintendo?
Yes. So I had all three of them. I had Super Star Wars Super Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was the one I was the best at. That was my favorite movie, so I played that one the most. But I don't think I could get past the first level on The Empire Strikes Back. It was so hard.
Like for context, we would have been like very young. We would have been like less
under
than
10. Yeah, under 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't start coming to the church until I was about in 4th or 5th grade. And I want to say I probably met you, Caleb, in Sunday school, but I really got to know you during my brief stint as a Bible quizzer. Do you remember those days?
I was going to say that, I believe, would have been when we first met. And did you do Stockade?
I was a failed stockader, to be honest.
I did.
I remember the Pinewood Derby. I always remember being bad at that.
You remember me being bad at that, or you remember
like in general
being bad?
I know myself.
Dude, I remember. So like for the Pinewood Derby, they would either give you like a pre-made car that was like shaped and you could like sand it and paint it or whatever, or they would give you a block of wood and you could make it your own. I remember one time some kid just like got the block of wood and like sanded it and painted it and didn't like carve it at all. So it was just like a block of wood. And I remember it doing, I don't think it won, but it did really good because it was really heavy.
Yep. Okay.
And so it would go, like they would put lead in the bottom of the cars or whatever to give them some weight to go down, but they put like the same amount of lead in everyone's car. But this one just had so much more wood on it that it was so much heavier. Even though it wasn't aerodynamic at all, it was just went down faster.
All right, I have a story about that, and sorry if you had a follow-up story that I'm interrupting here.
No,
but
that was it.
I was very new to the whole, Boys Brigade, Stockade.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know,
thing.
Stockade is Christian Service Brigade is Christian Boy Scouts.
Yeah, I came in late.
Probably a future episode, but go on.
Definitely. So I came in late to the game. Like I said, I was out of season, and I was like a month away from the Pinewood Derby, and they're like, well, you don't have enough time to actually do all this carving because everyone's been working on them for weeks or whatever, but you can buy a kit and put it together, right? So, they had one of those kits that Jared was talking about where mine already looked like a car. It didn't look like a block of wood. It just looked like a car already. And all I had to do was glue the wheels. Well, if you know anything about me in real life, I'm not very handy. I'm pretty technical. I'm good on a mouse and keyboard. And a real guitar, not a fake guitar, but I'm not very great when it comes to, putting things together and the mechanicalness. I mean, everyone has engineers in the family and stuff like that. Not me. So I didn't really have experience with all those stuff. Anyways, I was really frustrated. As a kid, I was just trying to fit in, and it really frustrated me. I could not get the wheels to work right, and I tested it, and the wheels would like slide back and forth, and like some people would say you got to use this kind of glue or that kind of glue, and for whatever reason the axles wouldn't stay put in there, and so it was just like going diagonal down the track, right? It would slip and slide back and forth. And it was like the night before, right, where I had to we would do the pre-races before the real races, that like the Wednesday night
qualifying heats.
Yeah, no, seriously. Well, there's like a test day, right, where you would go through and test them. And then
I don't remember, but maybe, yeah, sure.
Yeah, the actual day was later. So I did the test and I went down and it did terrible, right? It was just straight up awful. And so I went home and I was really frustrated. And I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. I was so frustrated that I went in my dad's tool bench and tried to mix a whole bunch of glues and things like that together, and nothing worked. And I was working on the counter, so I actually had jumped up on our kitchen counter underneath our cabinets, and I was working on it under there because I don't know why. I was a awkward, 12-year-old kid or whatever, and I just
future spelling bee champion.
I just for some reason I was working on it underneath our where your counters.
Let me guess how this story ends. You got high off the fumes.
Close.
Okay.
I got frustrated, and I was underneath the cabinets, and I pulled my head up really fast, and I cracked my head open on the corner of the cabinet. And I kid you not, no joke, the blood coming out of my head, once I had sort of recovered and, stopped the bleeding, the blood was all over my car. And for whatever reason, the blood mixed with wood glue made it a perfect combination. And so I ended up going
and it looked totally rad, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, real blood stains and everything on it. I mean, but what's that?
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, literally blood, sweat, and tears went into my Pinewood Derby car. And I actually ended up coming in second place. Anthony came in first, and I came in second. And we went to that church, and
you went to the chapel.
That's probably where we went, honestly.
I'll tell you why I remember that. It was always at the chapel in Akron, because I remember that was like for years. It was like I gotta go and prove that I can go to. I probably thought it was a big deal at the time, but in reality, it's probably like a tri-county Pinewood Derby. Remember, I just went and I got absolutely housed by all these kids in their fancy cars there.
Yeah, it was. I felt definitely out of my league, and for the second round of that, the blood, sweat, and tears combination didn't work as well, but I felt pretty good after that one. I really was a come from behind story. So
yeah.
So yeah, I probably was racing against your car. I just didn't know it at the time, Caleb.
I just beat it. You beat it with your blood, and I just gotta respect it.
Yeah. So there's no blood, sweat, and tears here today, hopefully, with this game. But when you told us about Guitar Praise, my first thought was, okay, this is amazing. And second of all,
Mike literally in our Discord sent me like the link to it and knew the price and how to get it within, I don't know, 15 minutes of Caleb telling us about it, right? I mean,
well, Caleb sent the commercial, which was even better.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Caleb, do you want to describe the Christian book commercial for Guitar Praise?
The commercial is surprisingly long. It looks like it was an ad that was on like Christian book distributor. Is that what that site is?
Yep, formerly CBD.com, but CBD.com now does not sell Christian books.
Hey, but they made a small fortune off of selling that website.
Definitely, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was basically like really trying to show you that it was really cool. That was like my memory of it, like, or at least of the commercial. And I hadn't seen the commercial, and I don't think I ever saw the commercial before I sent it. That might have actually been the first time I saw it.
How did you come across Guitar Praise? Like, did you actually buy it from a Christian bookstore, or was it gifted?
I was on. I wish I could remember the name of this. Oh no, okay. It was. Do you remember it was either New Release Tuesday or Jesus Freak Hideout. One of those.
Oh yes, those two great websites, by the way.
They were. Thank you. I would agree, obviously. But one of them was like, "Hey, this is on sale," because it must have been like a Cyber Monday. And I was like, I was in college, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting good at Rock Band 2 or Rock Band 3 or whatever it was at the time." I was like, I bet you I'd be good at this. And these are some songs I either grew up with or listened to on my own.
So you thought.
I was so excited. And so I bought it, and I remember I was like, wow, what a deal. It comes with 2 games, 2 guitars. I remember like moving the desktop because I think it probably came over a winter, over a semester break. Yeah.
So real quick before we get too far into this,
go ahead.
In the commercial, you watch it. It's like these people that are in a living room together as a family, and they're playing the game. But the thing is, the game is only playable on PC. And I brought this up last time, I think, but it's like, what maniacs at this, the late 2000s were able to hook up a PC tower to a TV in their living room to play this? Like, it's I don't know that I could have done that very easily, even when I was like, in the early 2010s. I don't even know I could have done that. They were like, it's 2005. We're doing this.
There was no Fire Stick or anything that you can plug in. And
yeah, I could infer who is the person who is probably had enough money to be able to buy such a game at full price. live life
Okay,
large.
so keep going, Caleb. So you were in college.
Yeah, so I was in college and I was like, hey, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. I've got a brother who would have been in high school at the time. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna check this out. Check this out. Look how cool this is. And we were like, we're gonna get it, right? And so I bought it, and then it came, and then it was like, oh, we want to, we don't want to play this on the monitor. We brought some TV down, and at that time would have had to use, some combination of
You would have had to have like a
cables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was like
it would have been hard. I'm saying it would require work to get it to work.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember exactly. In my head, it ended up on there was a TV on my parents' dining room table with running to an extension cord to the desktop, which we moved from like the back room up to the dining room. And like in my infinite wisdom, I didn't think I should install this on the computer before I move it, right? So then, had to do all that song and dance, and like we got like a teenage brother who's like, this can't be this good if I have to wait this long. Like, promise it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, I mean it was a lot of setup for I was not
the hype was building.
The hype was building, and I will tell you something. I got real sad real fast at it. Just did not have time.
All right, so with that little teaser, let's talk a little bit about the game. So, Mike, what do you think about the user interface for this game?
Okay, so it's borrowing a lot of elements from Dance Praise, right? And it's the worst elements of Dance Praise where, they have an instruction guide that you can't like X out of as soon as you open the game, whatever, that's to be expected. You get a splash screen. The user interface is not something that I would wish on my worst enemy because you're trying to do this.
Confusing, and it's like, so what we kept trying to do, right, is you go in, we wanted to change the difficulty. So I changed the difficulty, and then I'd hit like A, which is like to select, like if you were using Guitar Hero Logic, which is ripping off. And then I did it, and it would just start playing a song. But I didn't get to pick the song. It just started playing a song. And then we had to back out of it. And I did this, Mike, how many times did you say I did this on accident?
At least 3 or 4 times. And the other thing...
That's a low ball estimate. It's got to be like 7 or 8.
Yeah, you're probably right. I guess what I was thinking, too, is that it was also not all designed for just the guitar. So I had to keep hitting the escape button to, like, kill the thing. Because once you launch a song, there's no button you can press on the guitar controller, on either controller, to launch the game. Unless we didn't get the magic,
Yeah, now there are, on the controllers, what would be the equivalent of like the start and select button on a Guitar Hero controller. But they, as far as we know, do not do anything. Because I hit them both to try and pause the game, and nothing happened.
Yeah. So here's my second gripe with the whole system of the user experience. So they make you go through this test song before you start any song.
Yeah, it's called like warm up or something, right?
Yeah, it's called warm up, but it's like 2 minutes long. It doesn't really make any sense. You're expecting vocals.
It's not fun. It's not even like a fun, like, where they, like a run where they have you go like from green to orange and then from orange to green and like up and down the neck or anything. It's just like
random
a bunch
chords.
Of like power chords. Yeah.
Caleb, do you remember anything about that?
I remember immediately the user interface being terrible. I do remember that. And I remember it being very counterintuitive for sure.
Yes, it was not. It made no sense. That's why I kept accidentally starting songs.
Yeah. I remember what you're saying about being like, what does this button do? I can press this button and it does nothing. I can press this button and it does what I don't want it to do, or it does something that I think it's going to do and it does something else. Like you were saying, Jared, with it. And
yeah.
I do remember the frustration. And I think at some point someone said, well, I see why this was on sale or something to that effect.
So,
no, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Classic Tilden.
I'll have to look up and see. I actually have the manual, which has the prices in it. I'll have to, when we're done with this, I'll have to review what it was. I want to say retail price, it was like $50.
So the other thing I want to say about this is like when you start the game, right? So Mike and I, we're going to play. Do you remember what it was called? Was it called Power Duel or something like that?
Power Duel.
Okay, so Power Duel is essentially battle mode from Guitar Hero 3. So like for anyone that's played Guitar Hero 3, it's like the one where you play the devil went down to Georgia, right? And you're like battling against the devil and you get power-ups and you can shoot them to try and mess the other person up. So that's the one we were going to play. And we go in and there's only 5 songs. And I was like, all right, maybe like we got to try a different game mode or something. Nope. 5 songs and you have to beat a certain amount of them to unlock more songs. So I guess we were like, all right, we've never heard of any of these bands, but I guess we're going to play them. So we beat them and then we unlocked some more. And then I was like, well, you know, maybe let's try it on expert mode because, you know, it wasn't super hard. And so we switched it to expert mode. And we come back in and it reset our progress. Oh. And all the songs that we had unlocked were gone. And I almost cried. And then Mike wisely said, it's probably because you changed the mode. And we went back, changed it to hard mode, and they were all still there. And it was better.
I wouldn't put it past the interface of this game. With the interface of how it was, I wasn't going to bet that, oh, whoops, the programmer forgot to code that one in.
Yeah.
I do remember not one of the reasons. I remember looking up like the track list, you know, obviously pay money for this. And I was like, oh man, there wasn't like a complete track list, or maybe I just didn't find what I thought I was looking for. I remember there was like an expansion pack, which I think mine came with. I don't know if what you played had it or if it was separate, but
I think we just had the base version.
So,
I don't have the expansion pack yet.
The Striper expansion pack with 30 Striper songs.
I was trying to get there was an expansion pack that had, really wanted to play the Audio Adrenaline song DC-10 because it was from the Underdog album, and that was, you know, I knew it, and I was like, oh, I bet you that would be a great time. And it also had Dive from Stephen Curtis Chapman, which
that rules. I want to play that
song, right? And I remember, so the whatever, I'm assuming it still is a Cyber Monday deal, that I got both discs, right? And in my head, I installed the game, you know, as you would on like, what's the other one that had expansion pack? Like Roller Coaster Tycoon had expansion pack. And then you install the expansion.
Red Alert 2. The Sims.
Yeah. Well, their expansion pack was like a separate software. So like, if you wanted to go to play like a song from one to the other, in my head, you had to launch separate software. And it was like, oh great. Yeah.
Annoying.
That was like another issue I had because I had to do the intro for like the expansion pack. And I was like,
right. Oh, that's bad.
It was not the cleanest user interface experience. It was basically like a Nintendo Wii shovelware game, right? That's what I felt like I was going through.
So this isn't a good segue, but Caleb mentioned Dive by Stephen Curtis Chapman, and this is going to be my only chance. So Caleb and I like to play this game called Smite, and Mike plays it with us sometimes too. And in this game, there is a tactic called diving, where you go like really go hard at the other team and try and kill their carries. And sometimes Caleb and I will refer to this tactic as the Stephen Curtis Chapman play, where you're diving in, going deep.
Going deep, getting over your head. Is where
you want to be. Sometimes you get caught in the flood and lost in the flow.
Yeah, when you die.
When you play Yamoja, is that the only character that works for? The river's water is alive.
All these
works best with Poseidon, but
okay.
You could do it with anyone. Anyone can run the Stephen Curtis Chapman play.
If you try hard enough, basically. Yeah.
Especially Aries. Blink in, Altum. There we go.
All right, this is getting pretty technical
Yeah,
considering
okay.
our audience.
That's all right. Listen, I just had to do it. Okay, so we're back on track. So there's these 5 songs, whatever. We start to unlock them. Mike, we unlocked one song that we thought was pretty good, which was the Relient K song. Do you remember what was the name of that one?
The Relient Case. So I also want to add, this is where it differs a lot from Dance Praise, because in Dance Praise, you would unlock tracks, and they would just sort of like, hey, you want to unlock that? Sure.
In heavy quotes, because all it was just like, you would say like, this song is locked, and you'd press A, and then it would say, like, okay, it's unlocked now. You got it.
Yeah. And it was great because then you could choose and like say like, hey, you know what? I'm going to just unlock this song, and I really want to play Jesus Freak or whatever. So
it also came with like 20 or 30 songs, and then you could unlock the extra ones. This one comes with 5, and you have to beat them to unlock.
You have to grind out 45 songs, which is ridiculous. But the song I liked was Relient K's "I Need You."
Yeah,
that song was pretty solid. I got exposed to a lot of different bands. I was not really that familiar with a lot of these 80s rock Christian songs.
There's one called Bride, which was like, you said it was like a combination of Van Halen and what was the other one?
It's kind of like, I originally said Limousine from Homestar Runner.
If anyone doesn't know who Limousine is a fake 80s hair band from the Homestar Runner website.
Yeah, they were pretty aggressive. The song is called "Same Old Sinner." I could not find that one on Spotify, but the other one was called "White Cross." Anyone ever heard of them?
Was that the band or the song? Because there was a band called Bride. Was that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a band called Bride, and there's a band called White Cross, which we played as well, which was "Who Will You Follow?" And that was a little kind of like Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, like. You know, kind of shouty. So the other thing that was interesting about this too, and I don't want this to be a complainy episode. It's
going to be a complainy episode.
Okay, whatever. The last complaint that I'm going to make is that it was the songs that they chose. I felt like there was a guitar track on top of them.
It was the word. So like you could hear it. And I was saying to Mike, I was like, I want to play that. Like I can hear there's some sick solo happening.
Yeah.
Why am I playing like the rhythm guitar part? I want to play the solo. Like what?
Yeah, the dude is shredding 80s style, and I was like, oh, okay, at least this will be fun. You can do some Eedly Mees in the whammy bar.
The Squeedleys and the Meadleys.
Yeah. And so it has you just play bom 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 bom, and he's like shredding in the background, and I was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah,
I would say that is for sure one of the reasons why I was like, oh, this is not what I expect. This was not the experience I expected.
I'll say that the Relient K song I thought was pretty fun because it did have some things that were kind of technical in it that are like fun to do in Guitar Hero. Like I said, I like the runs that go up and down the neck. I think those are really fun, and it had a couple of those.
Hawk Nelson was pretty good.
Oh yeah, there was a Hawk Nelson song. Yeah, those ones were pretty fun. I'll say that this one is a lot more forgiving than Dance Praise in terms of like how close you had to be to the actual thing. It didn't have to be like, dead center. It would give you like, an okay if you got close to it. Which is pretty nice.
One thing about this that I want to add here, Jared, is that I play guitar in real life and Jared does not, but he was absolutely smoking me in this. I mean, he just destroyed me.
Here's my musical background. Okay. I joined band when I was in 5th grade. I played the drums because drums are cool. I wasn't good at them. All the way through my school career, I was in band. I was in marching band when I was a freshman, and then I was on the football team, and my coach would not allow me to be in marching band. So then I was just in concert band, and our school had two bands. There's concert band, and there's symphonic band. Symphonic band was for the people that were good at music. concert band was for everyone else. So it would be like for like the people that were like majorettes, like wanted to be in the marching band to be majorettes, but then didn't really care about music, or people that just were like me and were bad. But when I was a senior, because I was a good kid, and my teacher liked me, she was like, "You could be in symphonic band." And so I was like, "All right, I made it to the big leagues. I'm at the show, all right." And I played auxiliary percussion. Anyone want to guess what that means? Caleb?
I mean, I know what it means based on my own musical background, but
didn't you play the drums, Caleb?
I'm
better than me.
A percussionist by trade, a drummer by circumstance. Yeah.
So go ahead, tell them.
I'm gonna guess that you probably got. Did you get the wind chimes? You
I got the
triangle. Yeah, that's a classic. Though.
Triangle cymbals.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we need these ones to be loud. Can you get loud?
Yeah, basically anything that only happens like maybe like twice in a song. Anything that you basically can't screw up the song too much if you miss it. So that's my musical experience. And yeah, I've absolutely smoked Mike. I think I beat you literally by over 1 million points in the one game.
What was I doing wrong? I don't get it. I felt like I'm going to blame it on the faulty equipment, but I felt like I was getting decent hits, and all of a sudden I looked over.
We did look at one time, and Mike had more perfect hits than I did, because they would rank them like perfect, great, good, okay, and like miss or something. And I had less perfect hits than Mike, but I also only missed, I think, one. I think I had there was one time I had 100% hit rate, and I only missed one, which I'll say is not 100%, but the game gave it to me anyway. Maybe they rounded up.
That's how you know it's a Christian game. They're trying to show you that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. That's what I think. You're only 3 stars, even though you try your best.
Oh, yeah. This is some nonsense. Okay, Caleb, listen to this. I got, like I said, 100% on a song. I'm playing it on hard. And I only got 3 stars. What is that? How am I going to do any better than that?
I don't know.
You got 1 missed hit. I'm looking at the stats right
wow.
now. But I mean, do you really that you have to get 4 stars? You have to get every single note? Come on.
Looks that way.
Jesus' standard is perfection, Jared.
All right, you got me there.
See, I'm turning this into a youth group sermon already.
There you go.
So I guess we should also mention some of the things, like when we were playing battle mode, you'd sometimes get power-ups, okay? And some of the power-ups were very similar to like what they would be in Guitar Hero. Like there's one that breaks their string, and they have to like pound on the key to like get this, or otherwise you can't use that color. And there's one that like you would have to like wail on the whammy bar before you could play anything. And then there were ones that were totally lame that I got all the time, like it breaks your combo. Mike didn't have a combo to break. It was totally useless to me.
Yeah, it was annoying too, because it was like it would be dependent on how well you were doing to whether or not you would get those things. So like I get that there's some element of skill involved, but like I was, I wish it was more like Mario Kart, where like you can hit you can get a blue shell or whatever and like still be in this, but like Jared would be throwing these things on me that would like turn my screen like smoky,
completely blind you so you couldn't see anything. Mike, here I'll reveal my secret now. Mike one time did get that power up and used it on me, and I didn't miss any notes. And he was like, "How did you do that?" Here's the secret, Mike. We were both playing on hard mode, so your notes were exactly the same as mine.
Yeah,
so when I got blinded, I just looked over and followed yours.
Dang it. Yeah, that makes sense. I was just, it was icing on the crap cherry cake.
Man, it was an interesting experience.
What do you remember from the game, Caleb? Like, you talked about some of your frustrations. Is there a song or songs that you remember? You mentioned DC-10. Were there any others? I have a list of songs that we did not get to play that I wish we got to play.
Desperately wanted to. Caleb told us, he's like, hey, I'm going to be like 10 or 15 minutes late. And I told Mike, I was like, we got to play one more and see if we can unlock this song. And we did it, and the song didn't unlock.
I will say that I have not played the game in probably 10 years. What do you know what year it came out?
I'm going to pull that up right now. I'm on the Wikipedia page.
Mike, do you have a list of the songs that we played?
I do.
Okay.
Yep. So September 25th, 2008. So it's, by the time we're recording this will be, let's see, 13 years.
Okay. Well, then that does track that I
bar mitzvah for guitar praise. Well, or bat mitzvah, who knows?
I did get an Xbox 360 while I was in college, and I remember I bought it with the Beatles Rock Band. So that would have been like 2000.
Which one was better?
I would say the Beatles Rock Band.
Okay.
And I paid way much more money for that in comparison. Yeah, because Guitar Praise would have been like on sale. It wouldn't have been on sale its first year. Yeah. So I think I was like, at the time, eventually the song Jesus Freak came to Rock Band 3 on the 360 as DLC, and I was
Whoa,
yeah,
really?
It was pretty good. Oh, Seriously? It was great. I had a great time. I would
Wait. Okay, hold on. So Caleb and I used to live like 10 minutes from each other, and I would go over to his house all the time, and we would play Rock Band. How did we never play Jesus?
We had to have played it. The Jesus Freak was really fun to sing because it was a lot of those like Toby Mac.
Real quick. Yeah. More fun than Werewolves of London? Because we loved Werewolves of London.
I would say no, because the lyrics aren't as ridiculous as Werewolves of London. But
so you just to clarify, they're not as ridiculous, but they are.
Yeah, they're still ridiculous. There are things going on. Yeah, so I remember I was like real excited about that, and I think that one was. I didn't feel like I was missing out on something. Whereas, like you mentioned, like there were definitely songs where I'm assuming. I guess it couldn't have been like a license issue because they had the song in the game, but you would be playing the guitar and you're like, I don't think this is what they're playing in this song.
So one thing I would say is I know that on some of like the older Guitar Heroes, before it kind of got more famous, sometimes they would have a song and it would say as made famous by, and it would say the name of the artist, and it wasn't the actual song, it was like a cover of it.
That's so lame. That's terrible.
I remember it was like on Guitar Hero 2, there was one like that where it was like, oh man, I wish I could remember. It was like, as made famous by Heart or something, and it was like Barracuda. I don't think that was it. I think Barracuda was a real one, but it was
I mean, and I think at the beginning, between Harmonix and Activision, they were trying to get these songs out, and so they would rush them out like that. Speaking of Rush, I know there is a Rush song. I think that's why I thought of that. There was a Rush song. Tom Sawyer was a cover, and then eventually they came out with like the actual version. So like in this, like when you go to download music or buy music,
the real Tom
Sawyer.
Buy
the cover one if you wanted to. It costs the same amount of money. Yeah. I think that was like part of it. I was like, this song's not even like. I feel like this is not even what it sounds like, especially like when I was playing, like you were saying, getting exposed to music you hadn't heard before, which I think.
So we played. There were definitely some artists that we had heard of, but not like their premiere songs, right? So there was Relient K, there was Stellar Cart, there was Skillet Hawk Nelson. I confused Hawk Nelson with Stellar Cart. They're the same to me. My bad.
They are on the soundtrack. We just didn't unlock them yet.
Okay. And then what was that other one?
There's a Jeremy Camp song on there, if I recall correctly.
Yes, there are. Yep.
It wasn't Zoe Girl, but it was another band like them. Super Chick. That was it.
Okay.
Super Chick.
Super Chick was on there. We played Super Chick. We played this girl that I'd never heard of before, but I'm going to dive into her discography because I thought it was pretty good.
She was the knockoff Crystal Myers. That's what we decided.
Yes, she was the knockoff Crystal Myers, who may be a knockoff of,
Avril
Haley
Lavigne
Williams
Haley
or
Williams.
Avril Lavigne. Yeah. But her name was Jessie Daniels, and the song was called "What I Hear." I thought it was the production was pretty good. But apparently, looking her up on Wikipedia...
She's no Crystal Myers. She doesn't even have a conspiracy theory about her.
No, I know. Well, hopefully we can spend that whole episode talking about that.
Teaser for an upcoming episode.
Yeah. Apparently, this Jessie Daniels person, known professionally as Jessie Daniels, her real name is Jessica Danilczyk, which I think may be Polish, Russian, something like that. Apparently, she was in independent films for Lifetime Television, so pretty interesting. But she retired from the entertainment industry in 2008, so it's a real deep cut.
Oh,
I wonder if we can get her on the podcast.
Well, yeah, what's she up to? Let's get her on here.
Well, she's not in Lifetime movies,
Yeah.
and she's not in the entertainment business, so...
Hey, she's gonna be. She's gonna be in the podcasting business, making twos of dollars with us.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty cool song though. I dug it. Some of the others that we played that maybe noteworthy.
Give us the whole list. Give us everything we played.
Okay, so starting from Bride, we played Same Old Sinner. We talked about that one. We played Hawk Nelson, The Show. So that one was a decent one. Is a good pick.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, Jessie Daniels, What I Hear.
That one was fine.
Josh Bates, Perfect Day, kind of lame. We also played Paul Baloche, so we had to play an actual praise song.
Yeah, we were gonna we got to do at least one that's an actual that you might hear at a life conference or on a Sunday morning or something.
Caleb, do you remember All the Earth Will Sing Your Praises?
Is that on there?
Oh, yeah, there was.
I guess I didn't remember that.
It was one of the better songs that we played, but also you got the real Sunday morning experience where it was like, this song should be over by now. Why is there a minute and a half left? They're just going to keep going. They're saying the same words over and over and over.
What it didn't port in was the worship leader praying over the congregation for 3 to 4 minutes. And so it didn't bring those lyrics over. Yeah, when it make.
Yeah, while the drummer and the guitarist vamp in the background, just play a little.
It gave you the opportunity to do that, for your own audience, I guess. But
yeah, I suppose you could. I don't know how this was used in youth group settings. Maybe we should interview some more youth pastors to see how they would incorporate guitar praise into their curriculum, I guess.
All right, so what else? What other songs?
Okay, we talked about White Cross, Who Will You Follow? We did also talk about, you mentioned them already, but Super Chick, We Live. And those are the ones...
That one was pretty good.
Yeah, and here's some of the ones that we didn't get, and I'm going to read these.
We also did the Relient K one.
Yeah, we mentioned Relient K.
And we did a Skillet one.
Did we do a Skillet one? I guess we did.
We did. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't a good Skillet song.
No, it was Rebirthing or The Older I Get. I think it was.
It was The Older I Get. It was that one.
Yeah, it was definitely not Savior because that song was a jam. That was pretty tight.
Yeah.
We missed Stephen Curtis Chapman Dive, which we already talked about.
Yeah, that one would have ruled.
We missed all these Newsboys songs. None of the Newsboys songs like
Breakfast. Is it Breakfast?
No. I wish it was Breakfast. I don't know why they didn't have Breakfast. That song would rule.
That's my favorite Newsboys song.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, Shine, that would have rocked, but
the one we really wanted to get, that we were trying to get, was Phenomenon by 1,000 Foot Crutch.
Yes.
Couldn't get that one.
Couldn't get it. Also, here's the one. I don't know if you remember this one, Caleb. Family Force 5, Love Addict.
Oh, man, that would have been awesome.
That would have been easily the best one. Now, see, they should have led with that because that was going to be the most popular song.
Yeah, especially at that time. That would have been what, maybe 2 years after Love Addict came out? topping the MySpace chart.
Seriously. I guess they tried to make it Christian by like explicitly making you grind through the worship songs first, and then you get to the fun ones that are less Christian.
I can have the cool ones that are just by people who are Christian and aren't about Christianity.
Yeah. Anyways, so at some point, I would like to unlock those. I might have to work on hacking the game. I did not find any cheat codes.
I got next week off from work. I'll just come over and grind them out.
Okay, that could work. Caleb, do you actually have the expansion pack by chance? Because that was missing from my set.
I am too far from where that would be to be able to tell you.
Hey, but I'm not.
I mean, if you want to go to it would be at my parents' house. If you just want to drop over at my parents' house unannounced.
Just give them the passcode and we'll do it at like 3 a.m. wearing a ski mask.
Yeah.
And just say, oh, I'm sorry, I was looking for Guitar Praise Expansion Pack 1.
I don't know, Mike, is this on the actual list? And if not, I'm going to be mad because it should have been. Is Flood by Jars of Clay on there?
All right, there is Jars of Clay on here. Let me see.
I don't remember.
It is.
It is?
Okay, so I'm totally wrong on this one. First of all, it's not Jars of Clay. It's James Clay.
No.
So James Clay, it's not Flood, it's James Clay, and the song is called Franklin Park. So, yeah, awesome. Well, I want to get in the review phase. I think we've talked about a lot of the pros and the cons. Overall, though, I think it was, for a bargain bin type of game, it was actually playable, which is maybe more than I can say for a lot of these abandonware games. Maybe it's just because we had the authentic experience on a Windows XP computer from 2007, but yeah, it was, I would say, I give it a 2 guitars out of 5.
I'll say for me, I mean, it was, some of it was fun, but I would say like if I didn't have like a history with some of the songs or some of the artists, couldn't imagine it being very fun. And it's also not like a very good clone, I guess I would say. Like I had a lot more fun with Dance Praise, even though the mat didn't work. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll give it a 2. Maybe I would consider bumping it up to 2.5 if they had included all the best songs right away and I didn't have to grind through this nonsense. But yeah, it's two guitars for me as well.
I forgot to mention, not only did you have to grind to unlock the songs, but you could change the guitar that you play with, and you would like earn points to play with like a flying V or like a, an acoustic
and
guitar
also,
or something.
It doesn't show the guitar while you're playing. Like when you play Guitar Hero, like you would have an avatar on stage and they would have a guitar. And if you change the guitar or change their outfit, it would show up and you could see that. This is just like, hey, do you want to buy this guitar? Cool. Now you have it. You can't see it while you're playing the game, but trust us, you've got this. You got the, what was it? It was one called the Purple Thunder, I think was the name of one of them.
Yeah, it was poorly thought out mechanics. I want to give Caleb a chance to give your reviews from 13 years ago, unless you managed to find a Windows XP machine to run this on.
I'd say it was probably a very similar experience for me. Like the setup was a lot of hurdles, but once I was able to play, I was like, oh, I like this song, or like Jared said, I had a connection to this music, and so that itself wasn't bad. But my I think my very long separated view of the game is that I think they were picking random songs. So like if you're trying to like create a franchise or have longevity out of it, maybe put more production value into the first iteration. And then that may entice people to tell their friends to buy this game, and then you
can play Jesus Freak right away. You don't even have to play through 40 songs.
Not even that, but it's like clearly like this song was popular on the radio the week we were developing the game, so we got the license for it. Is what it feels like. After you named some of the songs that were on there, I feel like they weren't. I mean, I guess outside of Jesus Freak, and then some of the like the 80s, 90s, mock rock songs that were on there. I feel like those definitely were probably like, oh, we can't just do what's popular right now, but maybe.
Oh, there was definitely in that commercial you sent us. They're like, there's even something from Mom and Dad. We got Striper and Petra.
Not only do we have Striper, we got a lot of it. Did you say there was a 30?
There was like a Striper expansion pack. Like, there's like Beatles rock band. You said. It was like the Striper expansion pack, and there's like 20 or 30 songs on it. Because when you go and look at the Wikipedia page for it, it just lists them all, but then over on the side it kind of says like what pack they're in, and I didn't see that at first, and I was just looking through it, and I was like, why are there like 30 Striper songs on here? This is insane.
Yeah, there's actually 25 Striper songs with that. So, I think they did a pretty good job of. I just don't understand. I never understood Striper, to be honest. This is getting a little off topic, but I never understood Striper, the love for it, and I guess
my whole knowledge of Striper is that there was a kid on Beavis and Butthead that had a Striper shirt they would make fun of.
Yeah, I only know "To Hell with the Devil," to be honest, in some of their music videos, but they're pretty. I don't know. I just didn't know that people actually liked them seriously. Like, listen, I will listen to Crystal Myers again, right? Like, it's good. The production value is good. It fits the time period. It's not like totally over the top. But Striper is just like was over the top at the time, and it's even more over the top now that no one sounds like that anymore.
Speaking of Crystal Myers, Mike and Caleb, make a guess how many times I've listened to Fire in the last week.
I'm gonna guess 60.
Mike?
I think I know this answer already since we talked about it. Unless it increased, I'm gonna say 100.
Mike, you're probably closer. I don't have the exact number, but it was a lot. I listened to it on the way over here. It still rules.
Yep, still great. But see, they could have included those things in there. So, Caleb, did you officially give it a rating did you give it a star rating? Did you say 2? Did I hear that right?
A guitar rating?
2 bass guitars out of 2 strings out of 5.
Oh, nice.
Is what I'll do.
Okay.
This has to be random, different, slightly.
Yeah, two rhythm guitars while a lead guitar plays an awesome solo in the background that you're not allowed to play.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely wanted to take it somewhere. I mean, they had the second expansion pack. They had you mentioned the big Striper game too. And then I guess maybe it just like had a distribution.
I mean, the whole genre kind of died out though. You know what I mean?
I was still purchasing songs on Rock Band 3 when I was married in 2013, but I guess I was.
You mean when I was hanging out at your house until like 1 a.m. and then your wife would come home and like, I should probably leave.
Yeah, I was like, oh, did you see? Why don't we have this song? It's like, I don't know. I guess I'll buy it. We did a lot of that. So I guess. Yeah. I guess because what is it? I mean, Activision was hemorrhaging money and Guitar Hero essentially imploded.
It's hard to do a game around music licensing just because it's like making a Spotify app or Apple Music. Like no small person can do that because you require like $10 million just to pay for the rights to stream them. It's just such a mess that it's kind of understandable how they sort of went into extinction just because it became so unprofitable and just there's only so many things you can do. Yeah. So, it's a clone. There were other clones of Guitar Hero that I played. So this was not the worst. There was one, I think it was called Frets of Fury or something. I really do believe that's what it was called, Jared, and it's not just because of,
So Frets of Fury was something that we would do when Mike would play the guitar in worship band. We would all go up and kneel down and like put our heads down and kind of like do spirit fingers. And when you were just shredding, so that was what Frets of Fury was.
Yeah, and there was like a clone that we would play in study hall in high school that was, I think, called Frets of Fury or something similar. And it was okay, we would play it with a keyboard and things like that. So yeah. I think this wasn't the worst. It certainly wasn't the best. And I would actually give Dance Praise a thumbs up. In this one, I would say it's a pass just because of the user experience. Just kind of made it kind of grumpy. But
same.
Anyways, if you want us to continue in this series, there are other games by this publisher. There's some Adventures in Odyssey point and click games. I don't know what the people are thinking of Adventures in Odyssey.
Like a Freddy the Fish style,
exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, like a animated storybook basically of Adventures in Odyssey. I'll have to try to find an old Mac, like a PowerPC Mac for it, because I think it was for Mac only, or at least the version I could find. But those are made by the same publisher, so if we want to continue going down that route, I'll be happy to do that. If you do want us to play some other games or check out some other things, just like our friend Caleb did, feel free to email us at youthgroupreuniontour@gmail.com or on Twitter at YGReunionTour and on Instagram at YouthGroupReunionTour. I think that's all of them. We didn't make a TikTok yet, right?
No, we didn't. And before we go, Caleb, do you have anything that you wanted to plug? You can plug your socials, a movie you like, an academic paper that you've written,
sports team,
a class you're going to teach.
I would say if I want to plug something, just because I know it's going to make you upset, Switchfoot has an album coming out at the end of the month, and it's sounding pretty good so far. So
all right, well,
endorsed by the good doctor.
Do you think we can get them on the podcast?
I think if we
you met what's his face, right? The lead singer when you were.
Oh yes, I did at Growth.
Yeah, I have. Or you did too, through Fiction
right.
Family, probably. Right.
I gave him a hairbrush. Yep.
Incredible.
True story.
You were doing.
I was also sick with the flu.
Oh, hopefully you only gave him the hairbrush and not the flu.
All right. So until next time,
See
catch you on the flip side.